DCJ website for providers to review in their own time. So yes, we might get started. I'm Jay Hardy. I'm the manager of the Domestic and Family Violence Program Design and Delivery team. We're in Early Intervention, Disability and Inclusion Directorate at DCJ and manage some of the domestic and family violence programs that include the Integrated Domestic and Family Violence Service that we'll be talking about today. Let's share my screen again. Before we begin, I'd like to acknowledge the traditional custodians of the country I live and work on. I'm on Awabakal country, and the Awabakal and Worimi people have been caring for these lands and skies since time immemorial. And I'd like to pay my respects to elders past and present and extend that to Aboriginal colleagues joining us today. I recognise that in everything we do, we acknowledge we live on Aboriginal land and constantly learn from the wisdom of First Peoples. We are here, and the history that precedes us informs how we work and how we move forward. And I think that's quite relevant to this program area in the space today. So just an overview of what we're running through. Sarah Bradfield is the Director of Program Delivery and Integration, and she's away sick today. So you just get a whole lot of me and a whole lot of Abhishek, my colleague, today talking through the process. I'll have a quick overview of the Integrated Domestic and Family Violence Service, what the program is about. Abby will then talk about the expression of interest process and how you access that through Procurement Central. We can take some questions in the chat if need be today, but it's not an interactive question space because we would be responding to these questions as addendums through Procurement Central in written form. So feel free to add questions into the chat if need be, and we'll respond to them through Procurement Central. So the tender team, as I said, is Sarah Bradfield, is the director of the branch. I'm the manager of the program space. Abhishek is the Senior Policy and Projects Officer looking after IDFVS. And Paulson Raju is our Strategic Procurement Officer who's managing the procurement for us. So as I said, this will be available on the DCJ website under the Integrated Domestic and Family Violence page. So there's a link to that. So the IDFVS program has a terrible name, but it's a really great program, and it is a program that the whole of family to increase safety and reduce family violence. So last year in May, the government committed $245 million to the DFV emergency package, and a big part of that was the crisis response, which included expanding DV programs to the state, which had Stay Home Living Violence, which just finished procurement for, to increase its service delivery to all 128 LGAs across the state. There is a focus on increasing Aboriginal place-based and culturally responsive DFE services delivered by local Aboriginal community-controlled orgs. And this element of the expansion, which is to expand IDFVS to an additional 6 services. And this briefing relates to 3 of these services that we are seeking Aboriginal community control orgs to deliver. What is IDFVS? It's a multi-agency response that works to prevent the escalation of DFE around high-risk groups and communities. So it is an intensive case management program, and it works really flexibly around client need to support them in the support system, to navigate the support system, and to be led by what the client needs as an expert in their own safety, to support them to keep them and their families safe. It works with the whole of family, so that includes women who may also still be living in a violent relationship, and also works with children as clients in their own right, and can provide some support to the person using violence. It's person-centred, trauma-informed, and it's really about promoting victim-survivor choice and safety. So it does meet a gap in the service system because unlike staying home leaving violence, that's about supporting the safety and stability of people once they've left a domestic and family violence relationship. This can work with women still living with violence, building their capacity for safety over time, and providing flexible service delivery driven by local context and client need. And in IDFVS, understanding that, the whole of family needs support and to be worked with includes those links to therapeutic support and behaviour change programs as a key part of that response, where it's safe and appropriate to do so. The service model is quite similar to staying home living violence in that the key KPIs are around case management, case coordination, brokerage to support case plan goals and safety, direct services to children, and education activities which are more about promoting the integrated nature of the service. So that's about working within the service system to support referrals in and out, to support an understanding and knowledge of the program, and to be really embedded in interagencies and local communities of practice. So for these 3 contracts, successful tenderers will be offered an initial contract term of 4 years and with the option to extend for 2 additional years. So this means this is in line with the New South Wales Government commitment for funding certainty and longer contracts. And we know 6-year contracts can really allow you to have skilled staff who you can retain skilled staff, attract and retain the skilled staff with that 6-year certainty around a contract. So recently we reviewed and updated the service specs or the program specifications for this program, and they now include good practice, more detailed program guidance about how to do the work. There is a real increased focus on the whole of the family, including children as clients, providing referrals and support to the person using violence as well. We've been able to update to culturally responsive practice, which has been informed by some work we've done with co-design with local decision-making groups and community, and a kind of statewide program we reviewed that we did to understand what works well for Aboriginal women and children in the Staying Home Living Violence program. So that's informed the update in this as well. There's also a training matrix and relevant legislation and strategic plans have been updated. So coercive controls included and the New South Wales strategic plan against family, domestic and sexual violence is linked in there as well. Our priority groups in IDFVS is adult females, or those identifying as female victim survivors of domestic and family violence, and their children. So these are our prioritised kind of groups for support, which is also similar to SHLV in this space, where we recognise that there might be additional barriers or intersections of need in this space. So I might hand over to my colleague Abhishek to talk through the process of procurement for this expression of interest.
Thanks, yeah, just be going through this procurement section. So firstly, around the service locations and funding. So as part of the DFV emergency package response, we've initiated this mixed procurement process to expand to 6 new locations. So this particular one is for 3 of those 6 new locations being in Northern New South Wales, covering Richmond Valley, Lismore and Kyogle LGAs, Western New South Wales being in Warrumbungle LGA, and Far West New South Wales being Broken Hill and Central Darling LGAs. So we're committed to building and strengthening the ACCO sector, and this is really to help support that. To note as well, the regions and LGAs have been based on some extensive analysis that we've done to find the need in these areas, and we recognise that in terms of rural, remote and regional areas as well, there are particular challenges in service delivery. So the allocated funding for each region of $450K per annum accounts for this level of complexity and also the complexity of the service that's being delivered. Next slide, please. So this is just a quick snapshot of what the main dashboard looks like in Procurement Central. So as you can see, there's a couple of different sections there, but on the right-hand side that's been highlighted, you can see where the main applications are under the My RFQs with pending response section. And for this particular one, it'll be the My RFI section under that quick links. So if you want to get through to the application quickly, that's the option to click through. And this is what the tender structure and submissions instructions page looks like. So the main sections to call out here, the main tabs there at the top is the attachments section where you'll find any relevant attachments, and the response envelopes where you'll be able to respond to the questions as part of the EOI process. And just to note as well, any submissions lodged outside of Procurement Central will not be considered for this process. And in terms of posting questions, so as Jay mentioned, we'll be posting those through addendums. And if you want to submit the questions, this is how to do it through Procurement Central. So there's a Create Message tab that you can click through to, which will show up with a screenshot like that. And you can type in your message and then submit it by clicking the Send Messages option there. And again, just in terms of communication with suppliers, so the addenda will be published through Procurement Central message board, and you'll see that little messages tab there with a notification to say that an addendum has been attached, and it should appear on your dashboard, and you also receive an email notification that there is a new message. And this screenshot here is just around if you need any help desk assistance. So the contact details are there, and just strongly recommended as well. Any sort of error message be captured with a screenshot, which just help the help desk to quickly and efficiently resolve the issues. And just really to summarize, I guess, what we're trying to achieve with this EOI. So it's around understanding the increase and capacity of local ACCOs to deliver DFE services in these locations. We want to really determine the next steps for engaging with interested and capable ACCO services to provide a culturally responsive whole of family response. And next steps following the EOI will be subject to the response received from the market. So if there is a small number of applications, we might go to select tender, or if there is only one suitable applicant, we'll be going directly to negotiate stage with that applicant. And we do want to recognise in this as well that Aboriginal communities have their own experiences, strengths and ways of working, which shapes the IDFVS model and the response to community needs. So Aboriginal families experience DFV, we know, want to remain together or in contact for many different reasons, from caring for children and young people to kinship reasons and community connections. And there's limited access to resources or understanding of DFV and court orders. So this hesitancy, I guess, of Aboriginal community to report some violence and amongst other things, the response to the fear of, I guess, having children removed and general mistrust of some of the mainstream services, this program kind of lends itself to that culturally responsive way in responding to those needs. So many of these Aboriginal-led services we know are already working in an integrated way and are able to deliver service with those local place-based models, and we want to really hear about those strengths and services that are already doing this work through the EOI process. And just to go through the mandatory requirements itself, so there's 4 key requirements. So first one being around the ACCO or ACCO status. So we use the definition under Section 44 of Closing the Gap National Agreement. So this is defined as an ACCO. To be defined as an ACCO, you must be incorporated under relevant legislation and not for profit, be controlled and operated by Aboriginal and Torres Strait Island people, and connected to the community or communities in which the services are delivered, and governed by a majority Aboriginal and or Torres Strait Islander government body. And the second mandatory requirement there is around the experience in DFE case management and safety planning. So there's a little bit of a summary dot points there, but it's really mainly around experience providing those DFE support for victim survivors. So that's around your, again, safety planning, risk assessment, that type of work, and crisis response where it's needed as well, which will be forming part of the risk assessment and safety planning. experience working with children, so that's providing services to children in their own right, and experiencing assisting person with violence, so that might be linking up with any sort of relevant services like men's behaviour change programs, for example, and support for those still in the relationship, so that being a key differentiating factor for this program, that we can still work with those in the relationship. The third mandatory requirement in terms of service delivery areas, so we're looking for footprint in the geographical location. So as I mentioned earlier, this really is around connecting with the community that's already there. So that goes kind of hand in hand with the fourth dot point there is around delivering services that are in a way have set up those referral pathways already with the local communities. Slide. So in terms of the key dates, so submission of questions for the EOI will be, the deadline for that is 5 p.m. on the 28th of April. The submission for the EOI itself is at 3 p.m. the 1st of May, and the notification of outcome of the EOI will be still to be TBC at the moment, because it's really based on the market response, so the number of responses that we get from the EOI to the tender process. It's a bit of a rolling process. And just to, again, just call out a few key tender submission requirements. So again, the responses should be completed through Procurement Central by the closing date and time. The EOI responses should be completed by email so it shouldn't be completed by email or another website. So it should all be through that the website address that you can see there. And again, the closing date and time, 3 p.m. on Thursday. And for technical assistance, there's a couple of lines there. So there's a phone number, and you would have seen the DFV program's email as well that you can kind of submit those questions through. But all addendums will be coming through Procurement Central, so just be on the lookout for that. And any sort of late responses, if they don't fit the mandatory requirements, I guess, unless the evaluation committee or procurement agree that the responses are okay to proceed, we may not be accepted or may be accepted. So any sort of communication around that, again, will come through the Procurement Central message board. Thanks, Jay. I think that's me.
Thanks, Abby. And so the key difference in this is being an expression of interest is that it is kind of pretty straightforward. If with that one response that we would like to see detail experience in increasing and supporting family safety in that area where you have connection to community and a service delivery footprint. So it's about physical presence, but it's also about community and service delivery presence of being accepted and referrals, really being established in that space already as a provider. So to recap, it's open to eligible organisations, the Aboriginal community controlled orgs as defined under the Closing the Gap definition. The expression of interest for this is for the 3 locations that have been nominated. Please make sure your Procurement Central account is registered and accessed. That's where communication will be coming through and you can ask further questions. The closing date for this is the 1st of May. The open tender is the 6th of May. So I think there's a bit of, there was some overlap there, people asking, but this for the EOI, because it's a little more straightforward, is the 1st of May, 2025, acknowledging that there's Easter in between there and holidays. So we really do want to understand, I guess, the interest from ACCOs in these locations in delivering specialist domestic and family violence services. We understand that Aboriginal families often report that they want to stay in contact or stay together, but want the violence to stop. And so this is a model that, seeks to provide that culturally safe and relevant support to increase family safety. And this also kind of reduces, hopefully, any child protection involvement or, housing instability that might come from this as well. So that's kind of the overall aim of IDFVS. We really want to empower Aboriginal families to lead the decision-making while they maintain connection to kin, community, country and culture in this space. So that's why we're seeking Aboriginal community control orgs to deliver this program. we really want to, the department has a real commitment to strengthening services and funding for services that are delivered by Aboriginal people to Aboriginal people. So this is why half of our procurement is kind of targeted towards ACCO orgs. So the returnable schedules in the Procurement Central must be completed and submitted by the EOI close date, 1st of May. Again, that's with notice. And you can make contact with us as the program area at the DFE programs email address there, or through Procurement Central through that kind of messaging board that Abby highlighted earlier. So that's the industry briefing. As I said, it'll be recorded and available on the website. We are also, I don't think there's been any questions in this chat. I'm a lot less nervous in this one, so it's funny that the other one had a lot more people in it. But if there's any questions, you can put them in the chat here, and we will respond to them as an addendum to the in the addendum form and Procurement Central, all through the mailbox there. So if there's not any further questions, thanks for your time, and we look forward to the expression of interest from all in your area. Thanks, everyone.